Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Advancement Center. Welcome to the world beyond magic and miracles. So once again, we are still traveling at the speed of light, and everything is new again and again, every day. In this last amazing Simeon transmission this past Saturday, once again, I'm endlessly inspired by Robert and Simeon. The transmissions, the communications, the interactions light me up because it's just my language, and everything, well, not everything, a lot of the things a lot of the information that comes through is familiar. And I have this awareness of extraordinary appreciation that someone is actually putting into words what I experience, what I feel, what I sense. It brings me so much joy and excitement. It's amazing sometimes. Hard to contain myself and sit still in my seat. But one of the many things that struck me, just delighted me, was when he spoke of I'm going to do my best to bring this through again. But of those interactions that we have, whether we're in the same room, whether we're in the same part of the world as another, that can take just a millisecond, that have this, I'm going to call it an explosive effect on your life, lifting you up, bringing this excitement and this feeling that you just, and your mind is boggled. So I'll share an example that I just experienced before this last broadcast of Simeon's. I believe it was the same morning that I was going to work. I was having a conversation with my mother and describing where I live now in Solvang and how much I love it, and the view from the living room to the hills in the distance, and the sky and the trees, and how much I so enjoy it. And as I'm speaking with her, it made me think of a place I lived many, many years ago in Northern California, in the town of San Anselmo in Marin County, where I had a similar but different kind of view over out a long distance, where there were hills. I was sort of in the top of one side of a valley, and then I'm looking across to the other side. Being in that place, and that the way I'd set up my home, it just was so peaceful, and I love looking out over a distance. And so I'm trying to come up with the name of the area I lived. It had its own name. Couldn't come up with it for the life of me. So I just dropped it. And later that day, I think it was the same day, a couple gets into the house car with me, and I take them a whole 3 minutes into town. And along the way, as often conversations go, the conversation, oh, where are you from? Oh, they'll ask me where I'm from. Next thing you know, they're sharing with me that they live in Marin. in San Anselmo. In fact, they just moved to a place called Sleepy Hollow. It just knocked my socks off. That was the place I was trying to think of. I didn't know anyone else there. I don't know if I've ever even had a reference to it in a conversation. It's a pretty remote, small part of San Anselmo. They knew the street I lived on. Anyway, the chances of that happening, of someone filling in a blank from a conversation I was having earlier in the day in that way, was 1 in a million, if not more. It was just so random. I'm sharing this because of the feeling that moments like that create. It's beyond words. It's a bubbling up feeling. It's more than it appears. There's more going on. This is just this is the outline. This is the story that happens to go with this particular instance. But I can tell you the feeling in that house car with those 2 other people was magic. It was a combination of things. But when I was so touched by this extraordinary moment and event, my own response, my own being tickled response, was like a welling up of champagne bubbles that were just exploding into the car and beyond. And the people in the car with me felt it. So again, it was more than just to talk and interaction about where do you live. It was way beyond. But that was as I said, that was the story that went with that moment. So things that may seem small, that may seem subtle, can actually have that much effect, that much brilliance, that much beautiful power to change a moment, change a direction, change a life. There are so many ways in which these sorts of interactions, it's actually infinite, the number of ways these interactions show themselves. This is just one tiny example. But one of the things that I've had some awareness of, probably later in life, because we get more mental and analytical as we use our brains more and more, but is my joy of interaction and connection. I would say the word connection with other beings, whether they're human, animal, plants, trees. It's always been my joy, one of my greatest joys in life. And it's the interaction that's way beyond words. It's this other magical interaction that happens. I was just having a conversation with my mother last night. And it came up how it wasn't how to listen, it was how to hear and receive another's transmission. She was struggling with understanding or a particular transmission. So it turned into a conversation about transmissions, just like this one happening right now. Go beyond the words. They go beyond the mind, the brain. And all of a sudden she was transported back to being an infant in her crib. She knew exactly what I was talking about. Her very clear recollection of her awareness of the wallpaper in the room, and on and on. I do remember her sharing that with me, but something that came out of my mouth to her was a suggestion that she could just be laying there in that crib, looking up at the ceiling, seeing a cloud drift over, and a message is delivered to her. This was my suggestion for how she might listen to this particular thing. And she said, that used to happen. Well, that was not one thing she shared with me. It came in that moment. Again, these magical interactions that are so beyond words, because there's so much more to them than I'm even speaking right now. Once again, there's always the transmission that comes with everything, with words or without words, or through the words, or around the words, or between the words. It's just a joy. Because this is the newness of every moment. The newness in every way. Either an eye-opening moment for someone, or a feeling of remembrance, or a feeling of being seen and heard. There's so many of them, but they're so brilliant. They're so sweet. They're so, that's a word. There's a meaning in there. That word is overused, but and it's all so pure. It's pure in its innocence as a young child. That's the magic of these moments. And our lives are these moments. So living as we were when we arrived in these bodies. That's how we came. And that's where we are now, as we continue to shed the layers upon layers of programming, etc., that have been placed on these brilliant beings that came into human form from somewhere else. So once again, I was just given another visual of the brilliance of humanity on this planet Earth at this time. These amazing beacons of light and sparkles and love and gentleness. The fog is being cleared from our atmosphere. So the brilliance is growing and expanding and reaching the far reaches of the universe, lighting up everything, everywhere. And again, the word simplicity just came through because it goes right along with all of this. The simplicity and ease of life, now and forevermore. It's here with us. We can celebrate it every day. And once again, there is so much information swirling around. There's so much color, there's so much light. There's so many feelings of excitement, like a big dance party with music and lights. It just could be the responses of all the beings everywhere that are feeling us here, coming back into our own divinity and broadcasting from where you sit. So I think I will leave you with the party that never stops. Enjoy every moment. Love one another as you have never loved before. Follow your spirit. Have the time of your life. And we look forward to connecting with you again and again, whether it's through this computer screen or elsewhere. And it's with great pleasure and honor that I get to wish you once again a perfect life, perfect health, and the most brilliant, magic future. Thank you.